Now we're getting into the awarding of stuff here. It is now the distinct pleasure of Goldey-Beacom College to award an honorary degree to our speaker today, Mr. Howard Eskin. An honorary degree is one of higher education's most significant accolades. Goldey-Beacom College awards honorary degrees on a selective basis to distinguished individuals who merit special recognition for outstanding career accomplishments coupled with community involvement that is worthy of degree consideration. The college's honorary degree committee considers worthy individuals, and their recommendations are then considered by the college's board of trustees. Mr. Eskin's distinguished career accomplishments and his devotion to excellence in sports broadcasting renders him an especially worthy recipient of an honorary degree from Goldey-Beacom. I'd like to share with you now a little about Mr. Eskin. A Philadelphia native, Mr. Eskin began his career in radio in 1972 as an engineer, just 4 years after graduating from high school. He never pursued formal education beyond high school. Since 1972, he has enjoyed a successful career of more than a half century in sports radio, sports broadcast television journalism, and print journalism that rivals any other nationally known journalist. He has broken major stories, covered major events of the Philadelphia area professional sports teams, and was honored by his peers with his induction into the Hall of Fame for the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia in 2011, and more recently in 2022, received the Legacy of Excellence Award from the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. He is a sports icon in the Philadelphia region who was the catalyst for the sports talk revolution in the city. In fact, he created the first ever sports talk show on Sportsradio 610 WIP in 1986 that launched the station's format and forever changed the landscape of radio in Philadelphia. He parlayed that success into a multimedia career that includes local, regional, and national television and radio. In addition to those honors, Mr. Eskin is a two-time Emmy Award winner. A generous benefactor, Mr. Eskin has sponsored numerous charity and fundraising events off the air to benefit particular humanitarian causes for such causes as victims of Hurricane Katrina, Autism Awareness, the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, who named him Man of the Year in 2002, the March of Dimes, who named him Media Person of the Year in 2003, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, the Terry Lynn Lokoff Child Care Foundation, Phil Abundance, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, the March of Dimes, who bestowed a Lifetime Achievement Award upon him, and the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Proceeds from his popular Howard's Picks program benefit the Brandywine Valley SPCA, the Providence Animal Shelter, and the Animal Welfare Association in Voorhees, New Jersey. He leverages his celebrity to bring awareness and assistance to causes that he believes in, but he doesn't just raise money for those causes. He gets involved with the organizations and becomes an active participant in their work, including walking 1,103 miles in 2020 to raise money for two of the previously mentioned causes. Mr. Eskin is sometimes regarded as controversial, but is always regarded as hardworking with a reputation for no-holds-barred commentary that can be unwelcome in some circles. That, however, is part of what has made his career a successful one and something we can study and learn from. In talking with Mr. Eskin about speaking at commencement, he said something that I want to share. He said, "We can all have success with hard work and responsibility. I came from being an average kid and never stopped trying to be better." Here at Goldey-Beacom, we believe Mr. Eskin lives into our tagline, "Achieve Greater." Howard, it has been my great personal pleasure to get to know you. And thank you for these awesome sneakers, too. These are very cool. Would you please join me, our Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Joel Warden, and our board chairperson, Dr. Winner, on stage, and we will confer an honorary degree, and then we will hear from Dr. Eskin. Very good. I'm excited.
I'm overwhelmed.
I'm going to confer the honorary degree, then we will hood Dr. Eskin, deliver him with his diploma, and then we will hear from him. Upon the recommendation of the Goldey-Beacom College Honorary Degree Committee, and following enthusiastic approval by the Goldey-Beacom College Board of Trustees, I am honored to confer upon Mr. Howard Eskin the Honorary Doctorate of Media and Communications degree with all appropriate honors, rights, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And I'll hold on to it while you speak. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you Dr. Howard Eskin. Very good.
I'm not sure I have to say anything after that introduction. I've worked too long a career. I guess that's why all those things happen. But I'm overwhelmed, even with all the introductions into the Hall of Fames. This is the most impressive for me that I've ever had. I want to thank the President, Colleen Perry Keith. And if the music you heard when I came up sounds familiar, it's Long Live by Taylor Swift. And I'm not embarrassed to say, I am a Swiftie. Also, thanks to Provost Dr. Joel Warden, the trustees, Goldey-Beacom faculty, staff, parents, family, and graduates of this great class of 2024. Good morning. When President Colleen Perry Keith invited me to address today's graduating class at Goldey-Beacom College, I was beyond thrilled at the opportunity. In fact, I was so thrilled that I had an artist customize a special pair of Vans for this occasion that I'm wearing, and you see there up on the screen, that Colleen wore and she showed you. It's truly an honor. I've been to 41 Super Bowls. The most memorable was Super Bowl 52, when I'm on the sidelines and I got this Super Bowl ring for working that game when the Eagles won that Super Bowl in 52. Anchored thousands of TV sportscasts, hosted my own radio show for decades. It's a long time. So far, it's been an exciting and satisfying career, and I'm not done yet. But guess what? The one thing that I've never done, I've never been a speaker at a commencement. Thank you for giving me this great experience. Some consider me a controversial sports personality, probably more than some. When I walk into a room, half of the people will applaud and the other half will boo. That's how I know I'm reaching everybody. I'm known a lot for a lot of things, but scholastic achievement was never one of them. Bluntly put, I was a pretty average student. That said, I certainly have the ultimate respect for education and the leg up that it gives young people in their careers. I'm proud to say my wife Andrea and I have produced 5 college graduates. So let's take a moment to acknowledge all of the parents today. As hard as you've worked, they set the stage for getting you here. So let's hear it for all the moms and dads. I'm proud to say that all 5 of our kids are doing very well in their careers. My son, Brett, better known as Spike, I didn't give him that name, and I'm sure he's going to critique what I said on WIP after this is all over. My sons, Jason and Ryan, my daughters, Kara and Alexa. Few of my children are with me today. In fact, Jason, who produces movies for Mickey Mouse, also known as Disney, is watching us live on the stream from LA as I speak. He sent me a nice text last night. Jason, hiya, you're on the wrong coast today. You should be on the East Coast. I'm proud of how my children have excelled both academically and in their careers, but I'm even prouder of the people they've become. Involved in causes in their communities, from pet rescues to providing meal delivery to children and the elderly. Despite that, I must admit, it gives me great pleasure today to annoy the heck out of them by pointing out that by the end of this commencement ceremony, I will officially outrank all of them. Which seems like a pretty fair exchange for financing their education. So while I skipped college to jump into the working world at a young age, my classroom for the last 50 years has been the arenas, stadiums, ballparks, and TV and radio studios where I've spent most of my waking hours. I guess I'm a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks, and that comes with its own wisdom, which I'd like to share with you today. Basically, my advice comes down to 3 personal beliefs. First, don't ever give up on your dream. And I repeat that, don't ever give up on your dream. I breathed, ate, and lived sports as a kid. I always knew that's what I wanted to do, but it took me 7 years to get my first sports job. I worked as a disc jockey in Atlantic City for $1.60 an hour. That's right, you heard me right, $1.60. But I got a $50 gift certificate for Stanley's Delicatessen each month while crashing at my grandmother's house. I was a staff announcer for a progressive rock station in Bethesda, Maryland. I was a production engineer at a classical radio station in Washington, D.C., where I developed a special fondness for the rendition of, and most students won't know this song, the 1812 Overture, but it was the one with the real cannons. I also had a side job as a disc jockey in Maryland where I met, among other artists, a very young Rod Stewart. And coincidentally, a few weeks ago, for the first time in over 50 years, I met him again, and he remembered the situation. That was amazing. None of these jobs paid well. I was always hustling for side jobs and extra assignments to make ends meet, so my advice, never worry about what you're making if it gets you in the door. I never took my eyes off the prize. I worked hard and continued to make contacts in the business, often volunteering for anything sports-related that the stations might be involved in. Which brings me to my second piece of advice. Don't be afraid to take risks. There is no reward without risk. Life is unpredictable. There will be setbacks in addition to moves forward. You can't possibly imagine what opportunities will come your way. After some success in my early days as a sports talk host, a manager at KYW-TV approached me about anchoring their sportscast. He wanted someone who was opinionated, I think I'm a little of that, and would shake up the market's, quite frankly, boring TV sportscast. Well, I was certainly opinionated. However, being on television was never on my bingo card, but it was too good an opportunity to pass up, and they believed I could do it. I literally had no idea what I was doing, but I took the leap in a matter of weeks. They dressed me up, sent me to a talent coach in New York, and literally threw me on the air. I never had been so terrified. That first night, and this is amazing that it happened this way, 51 minutes before airtime, the NFL players decided to go on strike. My first time ever anchoring a sportscast, and I'm the lead story of the news. Later, I mean, it was hard to even imagine. Later, I took another big leap by leaving an established newscast to go over to Fox 29 and help them launch the market's first 10 p.m. news. That led to jobs at 3 TV stations in the market and some national shows as well. It was also a risk doing the very first sports talk show at WIP in 1986. The success of that show helped create the powerhouse station that WIP is today. Pushing myself out of my comfort zone helped build my career in both television and radio, and for many years, I was on 2 radio stations, TV, writing a newspaper column, all at the same time. The Eagles' Jason Kelce once told me, never let anybody tell you what you can't do, and he walks the walk. Today, after a successful career with the Eagles on the field as a late-round draft pick, he and his brother Travis Kelce have a wildly successful podcast. And Jason just took his own leap into broadcasting, accepting a job at ESPN on the Monday night pregame show. Which brings me to number 3, and maybe the most important of them all. Talent is overrated. Hard work usually beats talent most of the time. This piece of advice comes to me from Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel, but it has always been at the core of my beliefs. I've always strived to be the best I could be and prided myself on working harder than anyone else. A local TV critic once called me the hardest working sportscaster in Philadelphia. I always thought that's the way it should be. I attended every possible press conference, games, work sources, broke stories. Not everyone is willing or able to do that. Many nights, I was the last one in the newsroom, going over scripts and highlights at 2 a.m. to make tomorrow's newscast better. But here's where a cautionary tale comes in. If I have one regret, working hard steals time from your family life. I missed a lot of family time while working crazy hours, but on the plus side, my kids had opportunities that would never have been available to them. My son Brett and I played catch on the Phillies field in spring training. He met many players. My daughter Kara had lunch with John Bon Jovi, and Alexa got to meet Taylor Swift 2 times because the first time she cried, so she wanted to meet her a second time. My success also made it possible for them to attend the best of schools. The best situation is to have balance in your life, and I wish you better luck than I had in finding that sweet spot. Because of my work ethic, I never had to apply for a job other than the first few. People saw what I was doing and reached out to recruit me. You never know who is watching or listening, no matter how small the job or with any job that you may do. If you work hard and are responsible, you will be 50% ahead of everyone else. People will notice, and they will want to help you get to the next level. One of the people most responsible for my success is a name that probably most of you won't recognize, but your parents will. Jim O'Brien, the biggest TV personality in the Philadelphia market in the early 80s and probably ever. I worked with Jim. He noticed my work ethic, and he pushed me to take that first TV job and helped me all along the way. You never know who's watching, so always do your best. People will notice, and you will find your Jim O'Brien. I was working on the sidelines during an Eagles game one Sunday, and a young man walks up to me, puts out his hand to introduce himself. He says, "Hi, Howard, I'm Bradley Cooper." I said, "Come on, man, I know who you are. How do you know me?" He says, "I grew up in the Philadelphia area," which I did know, "and I really enjoyed your radio shows and your TV sportscast." The same happened with Will Smith, Michael Strahan, and that's an interesting story. I'm in a Super Bowl, covering a Super Bowl, and after a news conference, Michael Strahan comes up to me and he says, "I know you." I said, "I don't know how you know me. I'm a sportscaster in Philadelphia." He says, that's it. I had a home in the Poconos and always watched you on Channel 3. We've become good friends ever since. Amazing. Scott Swift, who was Taylor Swift's dad, was a listener when they were growing up in Reading, and we've become good friends. Again, you never know who's watching. Over the years, I've had a number of interns. I always paid attention to the ones that worked their butt off. And if I could help them with a job recommendation or introduction, I never hesitated. Many now work at ESPN and other great jobs in the business. I'm not surprised they are the ones who succeeded. The key to success is not that complicated. So let me recap. Don't ever give up on your dream. Don't be afraid to take a risk and work your butt off. In closing, when people ask me how I am, I always say, I never had a bad day in my life. Thank you for keeping that streak going, and thank you for allowing me to be part of your special day. It's truly an honor, and as Taylor Swift wrote in the song I came out to, one day you will be remembered. Congratulations and thanks to all of you in the class of 2024. I'm a doctor.